Secret friends, unite!
Welcome to the Secret Friends podcast, episode 462. This is your guide to the geek side, and I am Todd Oxtra from the land that recently got snow for the first time in 2024, but doing good. Joined by Charlie Carden.
Yeah, we got some snow too, but right now we have the famous Minnesota cold, which was even crappier because April and I did a toy show today, and loading and unloading the car is like 22 degrees, which is cold in Michigan. I know, and I know that's summer in Minnesota. You're like, oh my God, it's in the 20s. Woohoo! Yeah, it's not good. But I'm inside now in the nice warmth of my studio, wearing my Commodore's jacket. We're leaving in just a few days for sunny Florida to go on our second annual Star Trek cruise, by which we will also be doing a very special wrap-up podcast, which you'll hear when we get back. So things are good. We're having fun.
So we're going to have a lot more fun because this episode is it, folks. This is the culmination of 10 years of Secret Friends Unite. It is the debut of Mrs. Madam Webb and her Hollywood screen presence in her movie. We're going to talk all about it in the Thunderdome. But before we do that, and before you have a chance to run away, we got to talk about our Patreons.
Got to pay the bills by talking about these wonderful folks that make it possible for us to make all of these fun extra content that we've been enjoying since we kicked off our Patreon. If you visit patreon.com/secretfriendsunite, you're able to check out that content 7 days for free by clicking yourself a free trial and checking out great programs like the one that Todd and I do called Spin a Rack, where we talk about an arc of a comic book story, and an ongoing show that I have called The Facts of Geek Life, where myself and a guest take a classic series, grab a season of that, and break down a handful of episodes, having a good time. So we'd like to pay homage to the wonderful people on the Friends with Benefits level. That would be John Sedorf, the Phoenix Sisters Cosplay, Brendan Myers, Corey in HD, and friend of the show, Matthew Keel. Over on our top tier, the BFFs, we have the awesome Nias family, Sean, Stella, and Henry, and my friend Missy Merchant. We are very grateful for the support that we get from these wonderful people. Again, please visit patreon.com/secretfriendsunite, free 7-day trial. And if you like what you hear, think about sticking around because we would love to have you. Speaking of love to have you, or just get, oh boy, there's a lot of stuff going on over here. We do have a cover from November of 1966. Coincidentally, that is when the Batman 66 television series had been on for almost a year. That show came on in January of 1966, as I learned, because we've talked about it on the Facts of Geek Life. But we have a Heritage DC Comics title, which is World's Finest, which in this day and age is called the Batman and Superman Team Up, or simply Batman and Superman. But this is obviously issue 100. Is it 162? So you just took a 62 and slapped
I did
a number
take a
in front of it.
62. Yeah.
That works for me.
And World's Finest, I believe, was the first team up title in comics.
Oh,
so
very good.
Think about everything else. So World's Finest is renowned for that.
You're taking, really the two biggest characters, arguably, in comics, certainly at that time. Because at this point, Marvel Comics itself was only about 5 years old. So, all right. So World's Finest for 12 cents, which was a typical cover price at that time. We have Batman and, does it actually say on here? I'm trying to blow this up and make it bigger.
It says with Robin the Boy Wonder. So Robin... Not a headliner, but
yeah.
So what'd you do, Charlie?
I'm sorry. I was trying to blow it up to see if it said "and star of TV" because his show was on at the time.
No.
Anyway, and Superman. You don't actually end up seeing Robin on the cover here, but you do get a featuring Pawns of the Jousting Master. So Jousting Master, I'm assuming, is the name of this purple armor clad individual, yellow tie, big red
it's a cape, not a tie.
Wow, cape, tie. You know what? Maybe that's just the senior moment kicking in. I guess, I was so thrown by the purple armor because it seems very science fiction-y. So anyway, Pawns of the Jousting Master. Why does Superman fall before his mace? Batman fear his sword. Well, I can tell why Batman fears his sword, because he's chopping off Batman's belt and really probably almost cutting off his balls. So I think I'd be pretty scared by that myself. But anyway, Jousting Master says, now that I've vanquished Superman, our joust is over, Batman. Okay. Yield, or my next stroke will do more than shear your costume. So he's talking about castration. There's no doubt about it. This is where I would say it would make a lot more sense to Batman to actually carry that gun like he did in Batman Year One, because much like Indiana Jones and in Raiders of the Lost Ark with the swordsman guy, you can just pull the gun out and pew. Wouldn't that seem like a better solution to this?
I think just like classic cartoons have always shown us, a suit of armor or metal is always the enemy of water, vice versa. Get a little water on him, he rusts instantly, and he's done.
Because that's how rust happens. It really is instantaneous.
It does. And I love how he's whacking. He's got like his both weapons, one in each hand, and he's just kind of like hitting him with his wrist.
And it looks like
whacking
because it's a twist of the wrist in his hand, just bonking Superman on the head. Now I'm assuming
like this, Charlie.
Yeah. Boop. Now, I would assume if he can knock Superman out, one of two things is going on with this mace, or just overall. The mace, while it appears to just be, metal color,
kryptonite,
it could
or
be
magic.
Kryptonite, or he's magic. So, and if he's magic, then Batman's going to have a little bit more of a difficult time. So, if you're one of our seasoned listeners and you have read this book, please hit us up on Threads or over in our Discord. I would love to get concise, like maybe a paragraph long breakdown of exactly what's going on here. So very interesting. All right. Well, next up, I can't even believe that we got her to come back to work after
we're not giving her. No, well, Charlie, she has a unbreakable contract. So
I mean, and it is truly a lifelong contract, and she won't die. I mean, but anyway, Madam Webb still managed to get off the press junket for her huge film to come back with us and deliver Madam's Webb's rumors and news. I just noticed that you had her name misspelled in the segment. I see a lot of people spelling Madam Webb without the E on Madam and with two B's in the B.
We don't have the rights to use her real name, so we have to.
And I put the B back in. Okay, so it's Madam Webb with two B's, but she's down at the corner of Hollywood and Vine and giving us her loving attention with her news. So let's go.
Now it's time for Madam Webb's rumors and news. Take it away, boys.
Thank you, Madam Webb. Thank you, Madam Webb, for bringing us these great stories, because considering how your movie career is going to go, it's good that you have a backup. But with
always
that,
good to have
Madam Webb, obviously, when you were talking with all the Hollywood muckety-mucks over in Hollywoodland, they gave you lots of scoops this week, Charlie. So I called this Marvel-Pa-Newsa because it really was a big week for Marvel. So I'll kick off the first story. We'll go from there. It'll lead us into many, many, many things. So Deadpool and Wolverine got a trailer. That was the first thing that was solved when we saw the actual name of this trailer. Got the trailer on Super Bowl. It was probably the most biggest thing in the world because it's now the most viewed trailer as well. And
of all time. Right? So biggest.
With that, we got the release date, which is now going to be the big movie of the summer for Marvel.
There's no doubt
coming out.
Maybe
July.
a year, I would say. Yeah, July 26th. Yeah. So I have, I watched the trailer obviously during the Super Bowl, probably caught it again on YouTube. But my one of my favorite geek analysis YouTube channels is New Rockstars, Eric Voss. And he did here's my first thoughts, and then here's my second thoughts. And they were both about 30 minutes long. So they were really in depth. And he goes on to really dig into all of the possible nuances of what it means. I mean, the trailer starts out very fun. You've got Deadpool and all of his cronies having a birthday party. He's wearing a ridiculous Hawaiian shirt. He's wearing a ridiculous wig. And then he gets a knock at the door. And again, Eric had some thoughts like, would that body of individuals knock at the door, or would they simply just appear? He gets a knock at the door, and then he comes out. There's a bunch of TVA agents standing there. TVA, of course, being the big bad, or the big organization from the Loki series, which wrapped up a few months back. And Deadpool has some nice quips, and then he gets pushed through a door, and he ends up in the TVA, showing down with that guy, the kind of the cuckolded husband from Secession. I can't remember the name of the character. The guy who was always beaten up on Cousin Greg. What was the character's name?
I haven't seen
Can't remember?
Succession.
What? Then you didn't hear anything.
I know, it's on my list. It's on my pile of shame.
I know. Yes, I know. We have The Wire is our latest pile of shame one. We've never watched The Wire. And what's that old adage? White people love The Wire. So I guess it's my responsibility. But anyway, yes, we go into a flurry
I assume
of
because of Black History Month, Charlie. Very, very, very big of you.
Yeah. Why? Geez, Todd, I don't see color. I just heard that white people like The Wire. I don't know why.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know what the show is about. I've never seen it.
Color. You've never seen The Wire?
I'm teasing. Of course I know what it's about. But anyway, all right. So we then go into, and it's your standard trailer, 2 minutes and 35 seconds, whatever it is. But we see a flurry of images, yada, yada, yada. Here's Hugh Jackman. He's like, I was supposed to be dead and now I'm back.
Well, we didn't see Hugh Jackman at all in this trailer, though. We saw claws go over Deadpool. We saw a character in Madripoor. Didn't see his face.
You know what I was thinking of is that I started to watch a fake trailer, and for some reason I'm like, I watched for like 15 seconds. I'm like, here's Hugh Jackman saying I thought I was dead. So you know what? My brain got that mixed up. Yes, we do see a guy in a white tuxedo, which is very likely to be the Patch version of Wolverine. But interesting analysis that came out of one of the Eric Voss videos. He is thinking that Patch, being portrayed by a different actor to be Wolverine, could possibly obviously be Daniel Logan or Daniel Radcliffe, because that's Daniel Logan. Yep. Daniel Logan Radcliffe, because that's a favorite fan casting. But I loved his second one, and you might like this as well. Taron Egerton could be.
Oh yeah,
He said and then he was really like, well, because he's got broader shoulders, and it looked like it'd be where I'm like, wow, that's deep. But you're right. The big cap at the end is that Deadpool gets knocked backwards, flies through a wall, and then he's laying flat on his back, and the shoulder comes up on him. He's like, hey man, could you help me out? And this shadow extends his arms and claws pop out, and you see him lunge forward, to kind of shish kebab him. So holy cow. Film, the big box office grosser of the year, the thing that finally rescues Marvel on the big screen, particularly after their most recent dismal failure.
Thanks, Fox.
Yeah, Fox, you did it. It only cost us $60 kajillion.
Yeah, I love this because I think this is the movie that's just going to bring thing from the Fox universe. Like there's gonna be so many damn cameos in this movie. We're hearing that there was a debunking that the rest of the Fantastic Four from the other movies are gonna be in this.
Right.
I bet they might be in this. I bet we'll get maybe, Wesley
Spider-Man.
Wesley Snipes Newsline. Maybe Wesley Snipes shows up in this.
Yeah.
Blade. Yeah, everything just comes full circle. Everything's back in it. David Hasselhoff as Nick Fury. Let's make it happen, folks.
Yeah, I think there's an equal opportunity that there could be anyone who's alive and not canceled in culture who has ever portrayed something Marvel related, potentially in the last 25 something years, could show up in this film it would be like what the Flash tried to do and failed, but Marvel will do successfully. You know what I mean? But it's and that
everybody
was CGI.
Wants to be in this thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody wants to be in Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds is perfect. Hugh Jackman. They've got so much love, and the fact that these people that probably didn't love the role they played in those movies. I mean, just imagine Ben Affleck being Daredevil again. He would love it. I mean, you've seen the Dunkin' Donuts commercials. He don't care. He likes a paycheck.
Yeah, right. Well, but again, and it would be fun, and he would enjoy it. But even this article that we're looking at, could we see the entirety of the original Fox X-Men cast? Because we've seen, we just recently saw Kelsey Grammer return as the Beast at the end of the Marvels. But it's weird to me that this movie is lodged in the middle of the summer. This just seems like it would fall into that early May slot. Like, let's kick off this, give it all that extra runtime, let it destroy the box office. But contrary to that,
it's not even getting the 4th of July weekend either.
Yeah. Are they really counting on this to dominate the August box office and then maybe carry past Labor Day? I mean, that would be atypical because usually your bigs are first weekend in May or the 4th of July. when I think about summer movies. You know what I mean? Kick off the summer or dominate the back half of it. You know, so it's unusual, but I don't think it's going to make any difference. I don't know anybody in our community who is not excited about this film. You know, and was not excited about it even going into this trailer. Yeah.
Yeah. The biggest issue they'll have is it's R-rated. So kids ain't seeing this thing unless they show up accidentally or their parents want to give their kids, tell them, educate their kids on some things about Marvel Jesus. So this movie, while it won't bring back like the Marvel heyday, you know, the last R-rated like comic book property was the Joker, and that did $1 billion, I think.
Yeah.
So
it's possible
could do in that range. You know.
Yeah. So Disney is trying to obviously going outside their comfort zone, doing something like this, and I would find it almost impossible to imagine that it's not going to pay off. I think it's going to be enormously successful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So. But so that is that. All right, moving on. What is next? We get a little reshuffling of some dates, and our third story will tell you why, but our second story will tell you what got shuffled. So go ahead.
Yeah. So we are. We had a big announcement. We'll get into that later. I want to hit on this first. So Thunderbolts are moving up to the first movie of summer 2025. I'm calling them the Thunderbolts because they're so fun.
I think. Well, I mean, hey, it's a fun group of characters. I mean, look at them. It couldn't be any less fun.
So. Essentially swapped with the Fantastic Four, which now has the July date. So at this point, a lot of people still don't think this movie is going to happen because literally, like, there's been no leaks of this movie. There's been nothing else.
Are they filming it? I mean, is it is it happening?
Good question. Yeah. Maybe the Fantastic Four maybe needs a little bit more time. They've got some more work to do. That's why they flip-flop, just to give them a little bit more ease to get in there. But this is going to be the tail end of Phase 5, and apparently Fantastic Four is kicking off Phase 6. So I don't know. I hope this movie is good, but this gives me feelings of it's going to be okay, but I don't know if it's going to be everybody's favorite thing in the world because unlike the other Marvel movies, most of these characters, you either saw them in the Black Widow, which was not exactly on screens that people could see because of COVID.
It was COVID movie.
Then the rest is all TV characters and a couple of
except for Bucky,
Bucky, and then Ghost, which was in
Ant-Man 2.
Ant-Man 2. Yeah. So with that, I mean, it's a mixed bag, and a lot of people, once again, are not going to be familiar with these characters. And I'm trying to look who's directing this film, Charlie.
It's a good question. Does it say in here?
We see who the director is?
Because again, as you said, I don't keep
Jake Schreier, Paper Towns. Okay. And the script was by the person who made Beef, which I know people like that Netflix series, but once again,
we watched a bit of it and it didn't really blow us away. Yeah.
I mean, if Sentry's in this movie, there keeps being rumors about who's going to play Sentry. And I'm like, is he even this thing by now? Did they take him out of the script? Who knows?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Yeah. This could be this could be a colossal disaster. So I agree with you. Again, I really want to root for it because you're bringing in two core Captain America characters, Winter Soldier, and then John Walker as the U.S. agent, which again, I mean, that's my jam with Cap stuff. You have David Harbour back as the Red Guardian. He's very amusing.
He was great.
He was he was probably the most fun thing that happened in Black Widow. But obviously, it looks like the film is kind of to be led by the White Widow character of Florence Pugh. That's the vibe you get. And then, of course, your shifty go-behind is Val, played by the Veep herself. But this one's a big question mark for me because, like you, I don't know if it's getting made, and I don't know that it's a formula for success, because you've got a cast of characters that people aren't super familiar with. But then again, nobody had any damn clue who Guardians of the Galaxy was, but they yucked their way through.
But that was James Gunn, and he also had a blank slate because nobody had heard of these characters. These characters are already established. And now they got to bring them together in a way that what's the tone? What's it going to feel like? Because all these characters are so different. And then what's the plot? I think we won't see anything about this movie until probably Super Bowl. We'll see the trailer for this next year. So we're still a year away.
Yeah,
before we even
really
probably get to see what this movie is going to be all about.
Nothing even at San Diego, you think, or even maybe some teaser images or anything like that? Nothing? No?
I can't see them giving us a trailer, well, maybe 6 to 8 months out. I don't know. This doesn't seem like their thing.
I don't know. But moving on to the biggest of the big news of the week. This just happened a couple of days ago, but the cast of the very long-awaited Marvel Studios production of the Fantastic Four has been bowed upon us. And boy, do we got some names. Pedro Pascal, the Mandalorian Joel Miller of it all as Reed Richards, Vanessa Kirby from the most recent Mission Impossible film, Sue Storm Richards, Eben Moss Bacharach as Benjamin J. Grimm, the Thing, one of my very favorite Marvel characters, and Joseph Quinn, who is Wacky Eddie from Stranger Things. Both you and I were like, really, Stranger Things? Had to go and look him up because he doesn't look anything like Eddie without the long hair. It's going to be the cast. We got the information. We got a fun teaser image that came out on Valentine's Day. Okay, I knew it was because Valentine's Day always this past week that went by. And then we also got just kind of an official logo in a very 1960s kind of style that says Marvel Studios, the Fantastic Four, obviously with the number. In this illustration, everybody's face is very clear. The Thing looks very faithful. Behind him in this room that you see is a portrait of an astronaut, which has, I'm just going to call him Cousin because he's Cousin from the Bear. You see, it's Cousin's face, but who is the most important character in this image? Just right to the Thing side. Who is that?
Herbie.
Yes, Herbie, which is an acronym, which means something that I'm sure you can look up very quickly on Google, but debuted in the 1970s Fantastic Four cartoon. I think it was 70, 77, 78. Yes. Very fun. Everything about this image, particularly it looks like the Life magazine that the Thing is reading, gives us a vibe that this potentially takes place in the 1960s. So the question is, does it start in the 60s? Does it end in the 60s? Is it self-contained within the 60s? How does it really bleed into the bigger picture? I couldn't be more excited. Fantastic Four, Marvel's first family, the first comic of the modern age. And Todd, you and I have gone back and forth with Silver Age, Golden Age. Like, what do we consider that 1961 on? Is that the Silver Age? Golden Age?
It's Silver Age for Marvel. Okay. Yeah, Golden Age is Golden Age is like DC. It's like the old heritage, like Superman, gotcha. Batman from like the 30s and 40s and 50s. 60s Silver Age. Then you could get into like modern and then current modern. Yeah. So
there you go.
Need a new era, apparently.
Yes, I guess. But anyway, this movie has some very big shoes to fill, without a doubt, because it's got a couple of things circling around it, going against it, going for it. Going against it, a legacy of not great stuff on the big screen. You had the great 1990s, kind of produced out of spite Roger Corman film that never made it to the big screen. You had the two films in the aughts, which I found very enjoyable. The first being better than the second, but still very Fox-like and corny. And then you had 2015's Fantastic Four, which we will never speak of again. And now you have this, and it was funny. April,
I bet they're in Deadpool 3.
Oh my God! Yeah. Oh, here's Miles Teller and Kate Mara and Michael B. Jordan and some guy who played the Thing. Like I said, big shoes to fill. April and I were having this conversation walking out the door last night. You're like, is there still going to be a way that this gets screwed up? That's, I don't think so.
Matt Shackman, who's behind this, is really good. He did the I'm trying to think what Shackman, he did some other things that were very much in this tone. We've talked about it before and I can't remember, but I remember we talked about it and I think he's the right choice. I think, Charlie, what we're going to see is this Fantastic Four is going to get transported from the 60s to modern day Marvel,
Sure.
where this was a renowned superhero team. Everyone knew them. They were like celebrities.
And they
were part
disappeared.
of the zeitgeist.
Right.
And then no. And they're just actually transported from another reality where they show up and nobody knows who they are. And they think they're a big thing. And they essentially, and it's like Blast to the Past. Remember that movie with Brendan Fraser? With
great flick.
Walken?
Great flick, yeah.
I feel like that's what the tone they're going to go with. Like, they're out of time, just like Steve Rogers was. But, this one, you've got kind of like these spoiled people who were the biggest thing in the world.
And now they're not.
And that's why, because it would be like really weird to do like, oh, they already existed. We forgot about them. Or they've always been there and they're finally coming out. It gets rid of an origin story. It allows us to hop right in, puts them there. They're kind of people out of time. They're like Reed's gadgets will be like, oh, he's like, oh, just imagine a device that does this. And like, yeah, we already have Wi-Fi, Reed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like he becomes Dr. Evil. The Alan Parsons Project.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh.
The one thing we didn't talk about was in the Deadpool trailer. They showed this guy that had a hood and green. Is that Dr. Doom? I'm like, if that's Dr. Doom, that trailer, just kill me now, because he looks like a man in a trash bag. It looks horrible, and I don't think I want that. Now, if it's like Dime Store Dr. Doom, or maybe Dr. Doom from like Julie McMahon from the Fantastic Four Fox movies,
the breast men,
I'm perfectly fine with that. But no, I don't want that. I mean, maybe Dr. Doom is introduced in Deadpool and that's where it comes out. But, it would be great to see all this come about. So I'm excited for this. I think it's perfect casting. It's not that far away, which is really cool. So, but man, this cast is not going to be cheap, because I would say Peter Pascal, man, that dude cannot be in anything else, because no one's going to be able to afford him now.
Right. Well, you know what? Good for him, because like any journeyman actor, I'm sure he's labored for decades, and he was in stuff, he was on episodes of soap operas and stuff. But like I said, I mean, we loved The Last of Us so much that April was like, let's just watch it again. He's that good. He's just that good. So I'm excited, and like I said, I would find it hard to believe something where he leads the cast of a film could fail. But then we did have Wonder Woman 1984, but he didn't lead the cast, so I'm going to give him.
Charlie, he's our age too. He's born in. He's my age. He's 14 days older than I am.
Oh my gosh, crazy!
His gray temples will be real.
Right. Oh, well, I mean, because he's got a gray beard that you see, because when he's usually wearing a beard, but he doesn't have the full beard that Reed wears in the comics currently, that John Krasinski had when he appeared as a version of Reed in the Doctor Strange and Multiverse Madness. But let's stop talking about facial hair, but we will talk about interesting source from Men's Journal. Todd gave us his headline that the Fantastic Four film is reportedly eyeing Javier Bardem as Galactus. Hey, he's got to be better than a big planet-eating cloud, which is what that second Fantastic Four movie with the Silver Surfer gave us. Yeah, but it's funny because Galactus doesn't typically say much. Sometimes he does. I mean, if you get him on a roll, like I remember, again, I'm thinking back to Secret Wars, obviously the classic miniseries, which is celebrating its 40th anniversary. Galactus was a part of that, and there was an issue where he, brought Reed Richards up to his fortress, and they were having like a regular conversation and stuff. But mostly Galactus is like, me eat now, and he's standing over a planet and absorbing it. That's his whole deal. I think this kind of concerns me because Galactus seems kind of one note. It's like, I show up to eat a planet, and the Silver Surfer, I'm his herald, but I'm going to stop him. They've already done it. So is this just going to simply be that film again, but better? I mean, I don't know. I feel like Dr. Doom is a little bit more multifaceted because he's the Fantastic Four's main adversary. But it's like starting Spider-Man with the Green Goblin, right? You don't want to just jump right to it. I don't know. Get me back in the negative zone. Get me. Wait,
are we doing Mole Man? Are we going to do the Mole Man?
Well, that was the first issue. Had the Mole Man. Issue 2 was the introduction of the Skrulls, and then Dr. Doom wasn't until issue 5. So he was actually it was not the first one. Galactus was not until issue 50. I mean, he was way down the road. So I don't know. I would not be the biggest advocate for starting things off with Galactus.
Maybe like this is a maybe kind of a Thanos type thing where it's like he's mentioned or something like that, kind of like the future threat. Because I mean, if you think about it, what's one of the biggest threats in all of the world? It's Galactus.
A guy who eats planets, well, in the universe, because that's he eats planet and moves on. So much like Thanos, who kills off half the population, moves right along. All right, well, we'll let all that idle speculation go. But Todd, this is you, because again, there's no speculation about this. This is a show that I thought for some reason was going to be on 2 months ago, and it's not, but it's coming up. So take it away.
Yeah. So we're very excited. If you're a kid of the 90s, X-Men, the animated series, was a big deal. Really, the first big Marvel things on TV, because before that we just had Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends and some really shitty cartoons that just didn't last.
Marvel's Action Hour,
exactly. We didn't have movies yet that really, we were proud of, unless you like the Incredible Hulk. So we got X-Men, the animated series, and it was essentially telling, as close as they probably could at the time, like stories pulled from the comics, episodic with the story arcs, really going deep into the Marvel universe with characters. I mean, it covered everything in their arcs, and such a huge fan following. I loved it. I was a little older when this came out, so I didn't watch everything, but I did enjoy it. I thought the animation was horrible, but that's okay.
But it's
some of the voices iffy. Exactly. Yeah. What else could I ask for? So we are getting essentially the sequel series, X-Men 97. Right. And this is bringing back some of the original voice talent, which is kind of cool. Some of them are not, just because people are old now. It's been that long.
Or dead.
Some are still coming back. Exactly. So, and we are seeing a lot of things. Essentially, Magneto is going to be in charge of the school. That's new. We are going to have apparently the Sentinels involved again. And at the end of X-Men, the series, Charles Xavier was taken away from, he was brutally injured, and Ileana from the Shi'ar took him away, just like comics, to heal him. But at the beginning of this, we are seeing a funeral. We're seeing like, Charles, we love you. So maybe he didn't make it. And so we'll see where this goes, but they're bringing in some new characters. Sunspot from the New Mutants will be a part of this, which is cool. And other than that, I don't know how long this is going to be, but there are already action figures out for this, which have kind of spoiled some things.
I didn't know. Well, I don't know that it spoiled things per se.
It has Madeline Pryor, Charlie. So if you know where that is, you know where that's going.
Inferno. Yeah, I got it. The Goblin
exactly.
Queen. I got it. Yep. And again, I'm not the biggest X-Men guy. I mean, my most pressing familiarity was the Claremont Byrne run, and I've read that a few different times because I love John Byrne, and Claremont was the bedrock guy for the X-Men in the 70s. And he wrote that title for 17 years. And there are not many creators out there who have a track record like that on a single title. Nope. So I was a huge fan. Like I said, I, like you, was in high school when this came out. I watched it in passing, but clearly the vibe was more for people who were 5 to 10 years younger than us. Like, for example, my friend Derek, who is my figure collecting partner, this show is his Bible for geek stuff. He loves the X-Men and loves this show. So this is pretty exciting. Now we're getting this in just a few weeks. March 20. But I'm looking to see if this will be, I believe it's 10 episodes. Is it a weekly drop, I'm guessing?
I assume weekly,
That's usually what Disney does. So I'm fired about this. Obviously the trailer's out there. Go check it out. But March 20 is just a little over. By the time you're listening to this, it's a month away. So.
Yeah, this is only Marvel's really, well, not really, but the second animated series for Marvel for under the MCU Disney Plus type of era, because we already had some things, some smaller things that are just more Disney Plus. So What If was the first and this is the second. So hopefully this means more. More animated projects are not a bad thing.
Exactly. And
we're getting the Spider-Man series too. So
the fresh. Well, what was originally called Freshman Year? I don't know, what is it called now?
Freshman. No, now it's Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, I think is what it's called.
Oh, there we go. Well, I welcome, I for one welcome our ant overlords. No, I would love to see more Spider-Man. So, all right, well, let's wrap it up with something that I'm excited about, I'm a little intimidated about, and ultimately I think I'll be disappointed in because I don't get my hands on it. But in the 1970s, going through the late 1990s, there were a number of crossover projects, which non-canonical within the greater scheme of things, that pitted your biggest heroes of Marvel Comics with your biggest heroes of DC Comics in these big mashups. Now, we had, of course, the treasury-sized Superman versus Spider-Man, which I owned a copy of. It eventually disintegrated down to the point where I only have the cover. I may actually still have that. To my left is my footlocker filled with all my childhood mementos. That cover might be in there, but the comic is not. I do not own it any longer, but we also got, what the hell else? We got I don't know if it's part of this. We got like X-Men and Teen Titans, which I think I have a copy of. There was a Batman Hulk. Like there was just a lot of really weird ones. And going from that, and then pushing on to the 90s where there was a whole new series of them, not only of putting those together, of combo of like Batman and the Punisher and, Batman and Captain America or different stuff like that. And then going all the way into this faux amalgam comics brand where they literally blended the heroes together. So you got, I have a couple of single issues of these, Super Soldier, which was Superman and Captain America, or was it the Amazonian, which was like Storm and Wonder Woman. Dark Claw was the biggest one because it was Batman and Wolverine. And Todd, those were all out during the time when you and I, that's when we were both in school.
Oh yeah,
so we knew
I
each
own
other.
a ton of these. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yep. Big time, but we're talking about two. Yeah, we're talking about two huge omnibuses that are coming out in August. That are near and a little bit over. There's two of them over 1,000 pages for $150 each. That's the daunting part because I don't.
Amazon has the one for 138. I mean, we're talking less than 10 cents a page. So if you look at it that way,
so you're saying that there's pre-orders for these up
I already
already?
Pre-ordered the amalgam one. I pre-ordered the amalgam one from Amazon.
Oh, you're right. These are I'm going to do that while we're talking. So thank you very much. All right. I've been blabbing. While I do my pre-ordering, you talk.
Yeah. So I think the important thing is normally I wouldn't really care about these because they're usually available digitally. I can get them. These are never going to be available digitally. Marvel and DC can't agree on anything. So essentially, because of that, you typically only get a limited run of these things, like the Justice League versus the Avengers comic, which went back to print and it was sold out immediately. It was way overpriced, and you can buy it on eBay now. So that's the big thing. These are only going to be available in a hard copy format. I own some of the other ones, but this just seems something that would be cool to own because it's a piece of history that, quite honestly, we may never ever see again. So it's kind of like, it's $150, but I'm like, it's $150, but it's a piece of history. So it's a context. It's not just another story. These are stories that, quite honestly, are lost in time, excluding the every 20 to 30 years when they may redo them again, unless they lose the rights. And then we only get like half a comic.
Right.
Marvel's going to publish one half.
All right. Well, I've got it. You can actually order both of them. So I pre-ordered both of them. So
I ordered the amalgam one. I don't really care about the individual ones as much, but you know what?
You know what is?
I'm curious about that one.
As the time gets closer, I might cancel, but still, definitely the amalgam one is that's the peach. That's the one. That's one that you really want to care about. So
no Superman versus Muhammad Ali. Sorry.
Oh yeah, what a huge disappointment. All right, well look for those. And again, I guess my other disappointment is I'd really love to just have them digitally because that's how I like to read stuff. But that's not where the money is. Well, actually, that is where the money is. So it's kind of weird that they're not doing it. But you know what? It's going to be what it's going to be. Fiddly diddly dee. But anyway, with that is the end of the news, Todd. Time to get out my Fuber app, my feeble Uber app. Gotta get down to the Geek Easy where the food is bad and the music plays, but we do talk about things that we enjoy. So let's go.
Talk nerdy to me. Talk nerdy to me.
Hey, Secret Friends Unite, let me tell you about Zencastr. We use them for our show, and now they're supporting us. Zencastr is now the all-in-one solution making podcasting easy. It's the ultimate web-based podcasting solution. Provides high-quality audio and video podcast production and hosting. With a full suite of professional tools, podcasters can seamlessly record, produce, and publish studio-quality content, all from one dashboard. Being a creator has never been easier. And we chose Zencastr because of the ease of use, high quality output, and it makes it super easy for our guests to come on. We had multiple solutions we tried before, and Zencastr has just been the best fit for us. Why Zencastr? It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sounds and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. Have you ever worried what you sound like? Zencastr's post-production process makes you sound buttery smooth. It automatically removes those ums and ahs in your recording. It removes those awkward pauses in conversation too. Set the right podcast loudness and levels while reducing background noise with the click of a button. So if you're interested in making an easy, high-quality podcast just with the click of a browser button, go to zencastr.com/SFU and use our code SFU. You'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experience I do for all my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. Now back to the show. Thank you from our sponsors. And now back to our time we spend at the wonderful Geek Easy for a drink, a bit of food, and a time to geek out. So this week, I'm going to discuss a movie I saw last week with my wife, and that was Lisa Frankenstein.
Curious.
This movie is written by Diablo Cody, and it is directed by Zelda Williams, who's the daughter of Robin Williams. And she's directed before, so it's really kind of like a new collaboration between these two. And this movie, the best way to put it, this is like a tale of Frankenstein melded with Heathers. And it's set in the 80s. That's why it's Lisa Frankenstein. So you think of Lisa Frank, the stickers, the girl that would have like all the company that made all like the unicorn stickers and bright and funny on your what was it? The Trapper Keeper. That's
Right.
Yep. The tone of this movie is a black comedy. It is goofy. It is weird. The casting is very fun. It's got, I'm blanking on her name. Carla Gugino. She plays the stepmom.
Oh, gotcha.
In a very unique way. She plays her like way over the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the star, Lisa, that's Catherine Newton, right? Didn't you say? Mm-hmm. From Aunt Man. She's the grown-up Cassie Lang. Yeah.
And she is really good in this because she plays not your stereotypical weird girl. She plays a weird girl, like kind of not like the kind of like you think of like the weird girl from like Beetlejuice or
Lydia,
the Winona Ryder era. She's kind of even weirder than her because she's all over the place. And then you've got some different characters playing a little bit against type, which I like. They play with the tropes of the 80s. But Lisa, her mom, I'll give you the premise. Her mom was killed by a slasher. So her dad and her are kind of trying to find their way. And then her dad gets remarried to this woman. And along the way, her mother's not very nice, but her stepsister, who's a cheerleader, very popular, is like the total opposite cheerleader for a movie. Super nice, super supportive, really goes against Cass, which I liked a lot. Yeah. And but Lisa's an outcast. She's just not a normal kid. She's doing her own thing. And she wants to find love. And I will say is it goes into Frankenstein territory.
Yes.
By trying to basically it's this. I guess this movie was supposed to be R-rated originally, went PG-13, but plays with the Frankenstein mythology in an 80s tone. You definitely feel it. I really this movie is not for everybody. It's going to have times where you're like, I don't get it, or that's weird, or I don't like the humor.
Yeah.
But if you like black comedies that play with the 80s tropes and do something a little bit different, I think you'll have a great time. I really enjoyed this one.
You know, April really loved Heather's growing up, and if you really feel that it's got that vibe, maybe it's worth us.
Definitely does.
Maybe worth us catching it once it gets to streamer, or just on a date night. Because hey, you know, we don't have any problem seeing movies of any kind, as we'll talk about in our next segment. That's interesting. So, well, cool. I fulfilled a contractual obligation and actually read a book this week, or I started a book.
Contractual obligation. Wow. Charlie, how exciting.
Yeah, I know. Several months ago, a friend of the show, Kurt Krug, we call him Cool Kurt because he's connected us with some interview opportunities that we need to finally follow through on, actually connected me with his contact at Simon & Schuster Publishing, which has the rights for the Star Trek books. I've gotten a few. I will admit I've been bad at actually sitting down and reading one, but you know what? With a little bit of extra time on my hands, I grabbed one that I got several weeks back, which actually comes out in about 10 days. I just checked the publication date. In the Star Trek PICARD parlance, this is the story of the character of Seven of Nine immediately following the end of Star Trek Voyager. So we're jumping backwards in time from where we, meet her, or where we leave her, I should say, at the end of season 3 of Star Trek PICARD, where she's, achieved the captaincy of the USS Enterprise. G headed out into the great unknown, but we take it all the way back to really just a couple of years after the end of Voyager. So I shouldn't say immediately, but just a couple. She has, during this period of time, been attempting to acquire Federation citizenship, has been turned down multiple times, has been attempting to gain a commission in Starfleet, has been turned down multiple times, and she's at a point where she's on Earth, and she finally says to Janeway, Admiral, who is her mentor, you know what, I'm leaving Earth. I can't take this anymore. I'm persecuted. I'm going to go find my fare out in the galaxy. And she ends up on some backwoods scug hole, and you immediately feel like this is kind of a Star Wars background. She's living on a crappy planet. It's not like the Federation, which is clean and squeaky and everybody eats out of a replicator and everything is free and you have clean clothing and everything's great. She's living in some dump and just dragging through life when, at least I'm about 50 pages into this 300-page book, where she gets approached by someone from the non-Starfleet on the Federation side, like this criminal investigation division. And they're like, we need an observe and report on this terrorist group or this independent mercenary group called the Fenris Rangers, which we learned about in the first season of Picard, because when we meet her there, that's who she works for. And this is after 20-something years. We just need you to observe and report on them. And she goes off to do that. And that's where, the story is ongoing, kind of where I've left it off. So I'm getting the feeling that, Seven's being set up by whoever this smooth dude is, because he's probably going to really want her to rat them out. And these people they're freedom fighters on the, frontier of, you remember, this is when the Romulan Empire is collapsing and they're, fighting for freedom in the zone. So it's kind of like the Maquis was in earlier Star Trek, but not quite so hokey. It's really edgy. So I'm enjoying it so far. Being that I'm on a Star Wars kick lately, I'm enjoying the kind of Mandalorian, gunslinger, everything is pretty crappy kind of vibe. That's very not Star Trek, very not Starfleet, not everything shiny and clean. Like I said, your next meal comes out of a replicator, or maybe, but where Seven lives, her replicator is broken. And she goes through this whole scene where it only makes like soggy vegetables no matter what she asks it to produce so that she can have something to eat. And she asks for a drink and it makes soggy vegetables. So it's interesting.
Wah, wah.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm interested to see where this goes. Again, thanks to Simon & Schuster for supplying that for me. I enjoyed where it's going. And by the time you're listening to this, you should be able to snag that not only from your local bookseller, but certainly from the good folks at Amazon and Kindle. So look, plug, contractual obligation. I'll finish this and I'll read the biography of Patrick Stewart that they gave me months ago that I didn't get around to reading. So I apologize, but that's fun. It's fun to sit down and read a book. Todd, both you and I are pretty crappy at that. But you know what? The purpose of living in life is to try to improve yourself and do better. So this is my effort to do that.
Apparently I need a contractual obligation to compel myself.
Well, we'll see if we can do that, which is why I also recently wrote to the people who published the Star Wars books for the same reason, but have not heard back. So,
Well, after they heard that rousing contractual obligation comment,
yeah,
they're like,
exactly.
Yes.
I'm contractually obligated to be here, like a family function. So anyway, with that, Todd, time to get out of the Geek Easy yet again. I'm not paying this check. I still don't know why they let us back in here because we never do. But it is time to get down to the land down under. Got my Air Qantas app out because Hologram Tina and the mutants and our own dear Madam Webb are waiting for us down there to talk about none other than Madam Webb. So let's go.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome!
Thank you, Tina. We're sitting in the Thunderdome for a topic or a game to be entertained. The mutants are gathered, and they are ready for this special Spoilercast.
It's all come to this.
It's Madam Webb. So, folks, if you've not seen Madam Webb and you intend to do so, come back when you have. If you don't intend to, stick around because you're going to enjoy the ride.
You better believe it.
Madam Webb is a Sony Pictures 2024 film, part of the Sony universe of Spider-Man characters.
It's either called the Spum or we call it the Spumco, but other people call it the SPUMM or Spider-Man Cinematic Universe, whatever it is. It's Spider-Man movies with no Spider-Man.
Correct. Yeah. So this is the fourth film after we had Venom 1, Venom 2, Morbius, and now Madam Web. We are getting Kraven and a Venom 3. Other than that, I don't think any other movies are announced to actually happen. So that's where we're at in the terms of those things. So here is the plot. In a switch from the typical genre, Madam Web tells the standalone origin story of one of Marvel's publishing's most enigmatic heroines. The suspense-driven thriller stars Dakota Johnson as Cassandra Webb, a paramedic in Manhattan who develops the power to see the future and realize she can use that insight to change it. Forced to confront revelations from her past, she forges a relationship with three young women bound for powerful destinies if they can all survive a deadly present. The present is not this movie. Director S.J. Clarkson. Writers Matt Sazama, Burke Sharpless, and Claire Parker. I'm assuming they didn't keep any of the real names. All the names are changed to protect the guilty.
Let me just stop you right there. You're implying that this film had writers. I object.
Charlie, you can name like animals like human names, so I'm assuming it's Chimpan A, Chimpanzee, and Chimpanzee.
So Matt is a cat, Burke is another cat, and Claire is a squirrel.
Yes.
Basically,
so like when you're working at home and when your cat jumps up on your desk and walks across your keyboard,
you're like, here,
imagine that for like a month.
Yeah, Katie, give me punch up on this scene, right? Yeah, right.
And that went all to AI.
Yeah,
it went all to AI, and there you go. That's our movie. So yes, the budget was about $80 million. That might be the only good news. Didn't spend a lot on this.
Where did it go?
I think you can see where it went. So our cast is Dakota Johnson, Sydney Sweeney, Isabel Merced, Celeste O'Connor, Tahar Rahim, Mike Epps, Emma Roberts, Adam Scott, and then from there you get into like great descriptions of people like fresh-faced nurse, beautiful woman.
Oh, and Jill
Doctor of Optometry.
Jill Hennessy is a very beautiful woman, so you got it. Julia's half sibling.
Oh, I was wondering who that was. They didn't even give her a name. It's just beautiful woman.
Beautiful girls.
Tinder date. Yes.
So let me paint a picture here, you fellas. Let me give you Charlie's take from the get-go. So scene. The Amazon rainforest, 1973. You have an extraordinarily pregnant woman with no husband, who is a science person making a lot of notes in a journal and talking about stuff. And there's some dude who's there. Do we know why he's there? I'm not sure.
He's like her protector, like kind of like the guy that helps her when she's in the jungle. And that would be Ezekiel.
Yes. Now, Ezekiel, it's funny because April asked me really early on, why is Ezekiel running around in the present not wearing shoes? That actually does come from the comics. Ezekiel Sims is yet another Peter Parker clone. That came from the 90s Spider-Man clone saga.
Not in this one. Not in this one.
He's just a big old jerkwad.
If he's a clone, I don't know what happens because Katie isn't anymore. Because this movie's set in 73.
This framing sequences. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, it does turn out that Ezekiel Sims is the bad guy because the Ms. Webb, I don't not remember her name, finds this mythical spider, but then Ezekiel decides to shoot up their camp and steal it and shoots her in the belly. But in this Amazon rainforest, there are literal people who have Spider-Man powers. They're running around the treetops. They're painted red. They're wearing wicker outfits for some reason.
I think it's supposed to be like it looks supposed to look like webs on their bodies.
Yeah.
So it's like almost like.
So anyway, they come upon Dakota Johnson's character's mother, and they scoop her. Well, I keep saying that, but her name's got to be in here somewhere.
Is it Amaria? There's a picture of a woman here in the cast called Amaria, played by Zoja Mame.
No, that was the girl in the chair.
Is it Constance?
Yeah.
Oh, it's Carrie Bechet. Constance.
Yeah. Constance Webb. Constance Webb. So anyway,
Connie and Cassie.
Constance Webb ends up in like a pool of like healing goo, and in order to heal her, they let another spider bite her in the chest, and then the baby pops out, and then Constance is dead. Awesome. Flash forward 30-something years. Now it's 2003.
And Santiago says, I'll watch out for her.
Right. So, yes, thank you, Freddie, foreshadowing. We appreciate
So he tosses her into a foster home.
Yeah. And across international borders, too. Exactly. Did he, put her in a catapult and be like, you're going to New York? Boop.
Your problem now, New York.
Yeah. Thanks, USA. We don't want any of your immigrant trash. Goodbye. Oh, how did you get over the boy? I guess we, and even after 9/11, or no, that was before 9/11. There was a great 9/11 bit in here that relates to some travel that happens later that I'll touch on that I was like, wow. But anyway, flash forward. Now it's 2003. Dakota Johnson is the adult Cassandra Webb, the baby. Her partner in running around being an EMT is Adam Scott playing Ben Parker. Who they're pals, but they're not related. They're not interrelated romantically.
Not romantic interests or anything.
Yeah, because Cassie's needling him, and he says, "I got a real serious girlfriend now, who I'm not going to name."
I met someone.
I met someone who's really great, but my sister-in-law, Mary Parker, who is Emma Roberts, who was not a Mary Parker type. Mary and Richard Parker are Peter Parker's parents. They were both S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. Now Richard is not around, and it's like, as they're talking around the subject, like, where's Richard this week? Oh, he might be in Mumbai or something. So maybe he is, but she is not. Then I was talking to April about it. She's like, well, maybe she was a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, but she was just playing dumb. I'm like, no, I think she was really dumb because her character is an idiot.
Everybody's a spy, Charlie. Everybody. A spy.
And there's spies running around this basement, I'm sure. But anyway, yes. So Cassandra has a near-death experience. During a rescue, she falls into the East River, which I think would kill anybody immediately because of all the pollution. But she's, dead for 3 minutes, and she comes back to life. And this has activated latent abilities, as we found out as the time goes on, where she gets little glimpses, 30 seconds, 5 minutes into the future of stuff going on, which is tangentially connected, if you listen to our last episode, with Madam Webb, an elderly character on total life support who lives in this big web, and she's a fortune teller. So there's your tangential connection. Back in the, we're still in the present, obviously. We see the Ezekiel Sims character again, and he has recurring nightmares from the future where 3 extraordinarily attractive and multi-ethnic
we don't know that yet, right?
Right.
We don't know that yet because we don't know about that until we see him pick up a woman for a date. And that is actually, to your point.
Oh, that's Jill Hennessy, beautiful woman. Got it.
Beautiful woman. So he takes this woman on a date. He's a handsome man. And they're at the opera
or whatever.
He picks her up. They have the pickle tickle, and he wakes up from a nightmare of basically being attacked by spider women.
Right, like I said, very beautiful and ethnically diverse spider women. That would be Sydney Sweeney, Isabel Merced, and Celeste O'Connor.
And then he does an information dump.
Yes, he goes exposition crazy, and then he pulls out a poison and steals her ID because she's actually with the NSA.
Well, it doesn't even pull it out. He has the ability to poison.
That's right.
People.
He's got spider poison in his finger. Pfft, that's what he does. That was not a property of that character. But you know what? Again, they're ducking and weaving and throwing shit in wherever. So time goes by, and Cassandra catches wind of she's on the subway because she's going to go to a funeral of one of her coworkers who she saw died in a vision but couldn't prevent it. And as she's on this train, these three beautiful young women who, as we know, are younger versions of the Spider Women that we saw in Ezekiel.
Not even women, Charlie. These are high school kids.
Yeah, they're just girls.
Pretty careful in this.
But I mean, they're women, but they're not really. They're all in their 20s in real life. So I'm not trying to be gross. But regardless, that's when Ezekiel shows up. He's seeing, Cassandra's flashing forward, seeing him killing them on the train. So he bustles them off the train. And Ezekiel has a spider suit, which he just kind of takes on and off for no good reason. Obviously, he's trying to protect his identity or whatever. And then this is where things get very nonsensical, even in a comic book movie. So Cassandra steals a taxi cab with the girls in the back. They drive to New Jersey into the woods in the middle of the day.
Forest, yes.
Where they have no food. She starts a fire so that they can stay warm in the middle of the day, because I guess that's a thing. Cassie says, I'm going to be back in 3 hours. You guys stay here.
What? Yeah,
just stay here. And she runs back to her apartment because she's got to go through this trunk of stuff and find her mom's journal. So anyway, the girls are hanging around. And of course, you've got, the bad girl. You've got the smart bad girl, and you've got the super nerdy girl.
Well, we know one's smart because she has a shirt that says something about math.
Yep.
We've got the nerdy girl because she's not very secure in herself.
And wears glasses.
And then you've got the rich girl who is the bad kid.
Yes, exactly.
Who don't give a cap.
Right. She doesn't.
I got a skateboard, Charlie. I got a skateboard.
Oh, the skateboard is a very pivotal part, and it gets broken later on. I know.
She likes to eat because you won't like her when she's hangry.
Yeah, right. That's why she eats all the beef jerky, which was the only food they found in the cab. So anyway, by the time Cassandra gets back, the girls have wandered up the road to a diner where they're eating.
To reenact Coyote Ugly.
Yes, they decide to start dancing to a popular song of the time, Toxic by Britney Spears. And but Cassandra,
they paid for rights for that song.
I can't believe that was 70 of the $80 million right there. But at this point, Ezekiel and his girl in the chair, who is Amaria or Zazla Mamet, who you see in our credits here.
Oh yeah, she's her hacker.
They're using all the CCTV cameras and all this different stuff. They find the girls, and then Cassandra shows up in time to prevent Ezekiel from killing them.
She sees everybody get killed.
Yeah, right.
And then she's like, I know how to stop them.
I'm going to drive the cab through the front of the diner, and it creates enough of diversion that even though it smashes up the front of the cab, they still drive away in it.
Hits Ezekiel, and
exactly.
Drive away.
And so Cassandra takes them to a no-tell motel where all of the girls have an exposition dump like, well, nobody's going to miss me because my parents aren't around. And Isabel Merced's character, my dad was deported. And then beautiful Sydney Sweeney, her mom is in an insane asylum, and her dad is remarried, and they don't like her. So nobody's going to miss me. So let's the three of us stay in this motel room with the stranger.
Let's go back. Did you notice at the beginning? She was part of that family that Cassie saved, and she was like, "Oh, Dad, I'm going to go back to the house."
Yeah.
So it's like they forced them into this. Like
they did, and then of course, Maddie Franklin was a schoolgirl who flipped off the ambulance when she got get out of the street. So they just had to sneak him in, and then Anya, of course, owner Isabella Merced's character lives in Cassie's building, and you see her arguing with the super. Yeah, you see her arguing with the super.
Right. I'm going to kick you out.
Yeah,
okay,
I'm going to kick you out. Yeah, I need the rent or whatever. But her dad's not even there. So, but yeah, they're like, no, we'll stay with you. So no, and already, Cassie's in trouble because it appeared that she abducted these girls. Remember back in the train station? And
so lame.
And they're going to
just like,
yeah, well, I'm going to slam cups on. And she never, because again, Cassie works for the
EMS.
Fire department in New York City, which is fire and police. She's a
paramedic.
She's a public servant. So, but she never whips out her badge and said, "Hey, don't arrest me. This is what's going on."
I found that very odd. Yeah. Exactly. And then when they go back to the hotel, they get the hotel. She had taken off the plates off the taxi.
No, she didn't. Yeah, she did do that. But still driving around in what was obviously a stolen car. But yeah, Cassie then tries to leave them all in the middle of the night, but then her grief overcomes her and goes back. She calls Ben. Ben comes to pick the girls up to go see. I'm staying with Mary for a few days because Mary is, we didn't touch on this, like 8 3/4 months pregnant with a baby who we don't know who the baby is, even though it's a baby shower. With the baby shower,
we were supposed to guess his name at the baby shower. We didn't even get to do that.
We didn't get around to it because we never know. But anyway, she's about to pop, and her, Richard, her husband, is still away. So anyway, Ben stays at his sister-in-law and brother's house with these 3 girls, which is a terrible idea because they're being.
Well, Cassie goes to where, Charlie?
Oh, yeah, this is awesome. So Cassie, this is what I said to April. I said, Cassie drives the stolen car to JFK and buys a ticket back to Peru. Now, this is after 9/11, and there's already probably a bolo out on her, which would put her on some kind of a watch lift with I'm sure, Homeland Security. But she gets through. She flies down there so that she can hook up with the main spider people guy who's with Santiago, who said, I'll be watching you, which didn't make any sense. But then we go through this whole origin story where she's led back to the pool where she was born. She has visions that the real reason her mom was in the Amazon doing this is because in utero, it was diagnosed that Cassie Webb had this inoperable, crippling disease.
Yes.
And spiders in the Amazon had a potential mythical cure. And her doctor was like, you can't do that. And she's like, I'm not going to let my daughter, blah, 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 this and that. So I'm going to the Amazon. So that happens. Cassie figures out what's going on, that her mom was, really loved her and gave her life to save her. So then she goes back to New York again on a plane. I have no idea. I'm surprised she didn't drive. She didn't drive the cab to Peru. That would have been safer.
I just looked up the ticket. I was like, how much expensive is it, and how long does it take to get to Peru? So from JFK to Lima, which is in Peru, it's $385 one way. That's not bad.
Yeah.
No, but how long is the trip? Also
like 27 hours.
It is. It says JFK to Lima is only 10 hours. I'm like, that's surprisingly quick.
I mean, that's about twice as long as it would take to fly across the USA. Because, like New York to LA is maybe 5.
Yeah,
6
I mean,
hours.
you're going straight down. I mean, you're just going straight down south.
But
South America.
Exactly.
I just was like surprised, and it's like, quite honestly, where the hell does she know where she's going? It's like, I'm going to find that tree.
It's in the book.
My mom was in Peru.
It's in the book.
30 years
her
ago.
Mom, even though she got shot, and she was taking all these great notes, even though she
put coordinates on?
Yeah, didn't she? Wasn't that in the book?
Maybe there was. I was just thought that was so bizarre. It's like, yep, I'm going to go to a place that haven't been in 30 years, and I'll make it, and I'll know exactly the right place.
It just seems super twisty. But anyway, she gets back to New York, but just as she's arriving, Mary Parker goes into labor, and even though the girls have been hiding out, once they all leave to take Mary to the hospital, one of the CCTV cameras grabs one of the girl's face. So Maria, the girl in the chair, lets Ezekiel know. So he puts his spider suit back on and he's going to go murder him. But, it's just the exact moment that Cassie is returning in the cab. She finds him at the exact right moment. And here's my favorite twist. Cassie takes the girls, puts them in an ambulance and steals a second vehicle.
Well, no, Charlie, even before that, Cassie knows exactly where Ezekiel's going to be. She drives through a structure up above and flies through the air in the truck and then hits him. Like,
oh, that's right. That's why the cab was out of commission. That's why she needed to steal another vehicle. So then there's and again, she steals a vehicle from people she works with. So maybe that's not even really stealing. But she's just like, hey, I'm not working today. But again, how Cassie got in and out of the airport in a stolen vehicle is
nobody
is
has seen this man anyways, right? No one has noticed there's a dude doing any of this.
Yeah, there's there's nothing to corroborate, and there's no like superheroes around anyway, so people don't know. Nope. So anyway, she's in the ambulance. And there's this whole sequence where, she's like, charge up the paddles on the and stick it to the roof. And so he lands on the roof and he's chasing them. And they finally get to, now this is a callback to earlier in the film, when Cassie's coworker, who was played by Mike Epps, died in a car crash. They were putting out a fire at I swear to God, this goes right back to Itchy and Scratchy and Poochie at a fireworks factory. When are they going to get to the fireworks factory? So Cassie goes back to, they go back to the scene of where this fire was at the fireworks factory. after they cleared out the scene, they apparently left all the fireworks there because this abandoned building, which anyone can walk into, is full of deadly fireworks. So that becomes our third act of the film, is that they're going to use...
By all means, one of the worst plans I've ever seen to take out a bad guy.
They're going to go into the fireworks factory and use kind of the art of deception by setting off fireworks to use the environment to destroy him. And so that is the third act of our film. She's setting off fireworks. Things are exploding. These girls who are teenagers with no fighting abilities or superpowers of any kind. And Cassie really doesn't have, except for her precognition, she doesn't have any other fighting abilities or spider powers. But Ezekiel, they're going back and forth. Now, at a moment of duress, we get Cassie to finally exhibit her first power, which she can astral project herself like Doctor Strange can.
Before that, Charlie, these fireworks aren't just fireworks. These are missiles, because apparently they can shoot through freaking brick walls.
They're things are blowing up, and
the roof is going up.
And then the big set piece at the end is the sign on the front of the building, which faces out towards
Brought to you by
harbor.
Pepsi.
There is so much whoring out to the Pepsi Corporation in this movie. It's absurd. I mean,
I laughed.
Pepsi made their money out of this deal.
No, they didn't. They're regretting this. Like, why did we sign up for this?
It depends on how much. It depends on how much Sony paid them.
I haven't seen any like Madam Web Pepsi cans, to tell you the truth. So I don't know. But their solution to get away from him or trap him was to keep going up inside this building.
That's falling down.
Falling apart.
Yeah, exactly.
And what do they do, Charlie? They call a helicopter.
Right.
Like, does a helicopter just come whenever you call?
And how do they call one?
We need a helicopter on the south side of this building.
Yeah, and exactly. And with all the shooting off fireworks, the helicopter gets destroyed. So then Cassie's responsible for those deaths too. So thanks a lot. I've got one question about that. When they're going and she picks up like a piece of metal, and she's like deflecting things. Right. She grabbed a chunk and she's doing a Captain America. I could do this all day.
Yeah. But it's not like she's powerful. She's just deflecting fireworks. The fireworks that previously destroyed
went through brick walls.
Brick door.
They're situationally dangerous fireworks.
Yes,
we'll just put it like
some
that.
Some are like the snappers, you throw around, or some are those snakes, and some are like the
sparklers.
That will explode toilets.
The Whisker Biscuits, yes. All this. Remember the scene from Joe Dirt where he's naming all the fireworks.
The good fireworks you get from Wisconsin.
Right. Like we talked about in our last cover from a couple episodes ago. So at any rate, we're down to our final battle. It's Ezekiel versus Cassie. There's the biggest explosion. She gets hit in the face with the firework and falls into the ocean or into the harbor.
You mentioned her powers, so each girl is in mortal danger.
That's the astral projection.
One is going to fall into the. I mean, everybody's way at risk.
Right.
At any point, Cassie could have taken these kids to, I don't know, the police precinct.
Right.
Because that's exactly what she was going to do anyway with the damn helicopter.
But it was,
all at risk on a building, about to die. And then she uses, her projection power, which quite honestly, I don't know what it actually did.
It was like Doctor Strange, right? Like you could just it's like a ghost power of some kind.
But did she give them? Did she actually pick them up, or was she just saying, "Hey, you're going to be okay," and like give them like information,
pat on the back? Hey, you're going to be all right. Why don't you walk over there? Yeah,
it's not that far to fall. It's going to be okay.
So exactly. You know what? You need to fall down so that you can get it. She turns into a fortune cookie. But anyway, so the big explosion. She gets hit in the face with a firework, falls into the water. The firework blinds her. We get a big callback to when she was teaching the girls CPR. For no good reason.
Of course.
In the hotel room.
Because the poison, Charlie.
Yeah,
you get the poison.
The poison. That's right. Oh, that was the other thing. Ezekiel exudes poison when he touches somebody, but because of Cassie's latent developing powers, the poison does not kill her. So maybe that's where that comes up as but anyway, they have to fish Cassie out of the water, and the girls, having learned CPR, because teenagers are so good at retaining things after one lesson, they're able to save her life. And then we cut to the end of the film, and this is where they really turn the heat up on the ridiculous. So this is where things I really can't explain. Yeah. So some time has passed, and Cassandra has what looks like a much different part.
We haven't gotten there yet, Charlie. We got to get to the sappy part. So we found out about the baby. The baby's born. So they're back at the hospital.
Oh,
so baby's born. They don't mention the name, right? I don't think they mentioned the baby's name.
And and then Ben is there, and then there's a baby and blah blah. Ben and Mary are both present in the room.
If we assume is Peter. We're just gonna make that assumption.
Richard still doesn't show up after, and maybe he's on his way. But anyway, then you flash to a different hotel room. There's Cassandra with the bandages over her eyes. Yes.
Yeah, the hospital room, and they visit her, and all of a sudden it goes super sappy, like, oh, I can't see, but I've never seen more clearly now. You're mine. You're all my girls.
No, but we jump forward out of the hotel, and I loved how Sydney Sweeney, God bless her heart, walks in and says, "And Ben wanted to see how you were and tell you that he loves being an uncle." I'm like, why does he love being an uncle? They're still in the hospital. The kid got bored. Has the kid vomited in your face yet? You're going to love it a whole lot less. Trust me. But anyway, then you're right. Then we jump forward to exactly what you're talking about. Cassandra now has.
They said that at the hospital though. Like when she's blind, sitting in the bed, goes, "Oh, I can't see, but I just have you." So they're all getting lovey-dovey. But it gets worse. When we jump forward to not too distant down the line from there, time-wise, Cassandra has a new apartment, or at least it looked like it was a new apartment, where she's sitting in front of. She's blind, but she's also in a wheelchair. Did she get crippled? I missed that part. I'm assuming she broke her back.
Oh, that's why if she broke her back, why is she sitting up? The bed goes up, bed goes down, bed goes up, bed goes down. Okay. So
they never land on your back flat in the water.
Right. Cassandra's sitting there. She's wearing some awesome Dior sunglasses, looking fantastic. And the girls walk into her apartment. They're laughing and joking. They're all best pals. They've got Chinese food. They're going to sit down and eat. And Cassandra whips her chair around. And she's like, "Cassandra, how are you doing? How are your eyes?" "Oh, I see better than I've ever seen in my life." "Well, Cassandra, tell us what you see." And then you get this, "What I see is you girls in the future, never backing down and always doing what's right." And you're seeing the second appearance of them in some pretty comically accurate outfits. Like Sydney Sweeney's character should be Julia Carpenter, but her last name is Julia Cornwall for no good reason. But she is in the very comic accurate Secret Wars black Spider-Woman outfit. And then the other girls are, one girl is Anya Corazon, is another is a Spider Girl, whatever. And they're all, if you look,
Aranya?
If you look over my shoulder, you'll see my spider shelf, but I also have spider people going kind of all around. I think. Aranya's right over here. We can't quite see her. She's hanging between my two.
Maddie Franklin posters. Was Spider Woman.
Yes, correct. That I do remember.
With the spider tendrils from her back.
Kind of like Iron Spider in the, and so that is the end of the film.
Well, and then Cassandra was also in costume too, floating above them as well.
Which was never a part of the Madam Web character. But Madam Web also was an anciently old woman, which Dakota Johnson is not. So that's the end of the film.
Oh boy, Charlie.
Oh boy. I have to tell you. Go ahead, please.
I was going to say the movie was an hour and 57 minutes, just to give everyone an idea of like that roller coaster took all of those minutes, and there was no extra credit scene. They essentially did the extra credit scene in the last part of the movie. And so
that last part of the movie, I was going to say, I was left wondering why Cassandra has a nice new apartment. What she does for a living. Did she then become a psychic that she can afford this huge studio apartment?
I think she has sued
the fireworks factory,
EMS, the EMS department for allowing her to steal their vehicles and get hurt on the job during the helicopter rescue.
So it's all workman's comp. That's what takes care of her for the rest of her life. Okay.
Yes.
And these girls are now her awards, like Batman and Robin and like the Bat family,
even though two of them have real families,
right? But who don't want them,
and then the only one doesn't have a parent who wants her is deported out of the country.
Yeah.
Are they doing anything to help him?
Yeah, we never did find out if she's actually a legal U.S. citizen or if she should get deported as well. You don't know. They could have taken, you know what? They could have taken the trip to Peru together and picked up her dad. I don't know. I don't know if that's where he went.
Charlie has been teleported back to his home planet.
My home planet needs me. Yes. Yeah, you're right. So there's absolutely no touching upon why these girls are just hanging around or whatever. But anyway, yeah, then we get the credits is, what was the song? Was it the Cranberry song? What played?
Yes, Linger. Wasn't it Linger?
Yeah. No, it was the, because you're a dream to me, dream to me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the Cranberries' 3 hits.
2006 movie. So there was some cell phones. They were rudimentary. iPhone hadn't come out yet.
It was
again like BlackBerries.
It was 2003. Yes.
No, the movie was 2006.
Oh, okay.
1973 was the.
Oh,
thing.
okay.
Yeah,
I swear it said 2003. But anyway, regardless. But yeah, it was really very low tech. At one point, Cassandra is in her apartment being sad, and she has an answering machine. And is watching things on a small crappy TV on VHS. So yes, this is very endemic of the time. No tech, except for the girl in the chair who's using
early tech.
Who's using NSA technology that she got from, I'm sorry, one more time, beautiful woman, Jill Hennessy. All right, so let's go through my Reader's Digest version of where I landed with this. Incomprehensible nonsense. Everything was forced. Nothing really connected. I'm going to hold this right up against Catwoman, which I saw recently. April and I saw it, and then we reviewed it in our Patreon segment for our show, Bad Trip to the Movie with Cardens. I had never seen that film because it had been famously panned, with very little connective tissue to anything related to the source material. Incomprehensible plot developments. Everything was super convenient. Cassie, nobody could stop her stealing cars and flying to Peru and kidnapping girls, leaving them in the woods, abandoning them in a hotel, but having a change of heart, magically teaching them CPR. I mean, from A to B to C to back the way through Z and AA and Super Q, nothing stacked. You might have some decent actors in this, some experienced actors in this. I don't know which one of them that would be, because much like in the George Lucas prequels, you can have great actors, but if you have no script and if you have no direction, there's nothing to generate a great performance from an actor.
This movie might have been all AI for all I know. I don't know. Some movies are just bad, and they don't take AI to be bad, and some things are, could be good, but AI essentially doesn't know how to, differentiate good and bad. They don't know humans' emotions and good, bad, whatever.
Right.
I would say Adam Scott was a standout,
without
which is so weird because he wasn't given much to work with, but I thought he actually could act through it. Had some personality in this, but outside of him, I don't know what Mike Epps was doing in this film. He was pointless. It was
a check. It was part of that $80 million. Somehow he got a couple of. He was there to die because he was, and to be our first real, of what his death moved the plot forward, because that's how she ended up on the train and blah blah blah.
Exactly. The main villain,
Ezekiel. Yeah.
I mean, he wanted the spider for what ends? To get superpowers so he could.
Well, it somehow made him
couldn't put it together. It's like the underwear gnomes, right? Spider, money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right. You don't really see how the spider made him money. And then he had what happened to his flunky after he died? Did she get caught as well? Or did they go after her?
Only she was paid very handsomely, Charles.
Right. So and again, you're right. It was the underpants. It was spider venom. Maybe the spider venom. He made makeup out of it or something.
Maybe it's an assassin kills people with it, and he makes money that way. Because I really didn't get the whole point. And obviously, the whole through line to this movie, he thought these people were going to kill him in a later date. So that was the whole thing that was pushing the plot to kill them all. And I'm like,
so he wants to kill a bunch of teenagers. And
why don't you move out of New York then?
Right. And make sure that they can't find you.
Peru.
Right. Exactly. Oh, yeah. And
Peru.
And he didn't necessarily, I looked it up. The actor is actually French. So you don't actually know where he was from. But yeah, his motivations were obviously just based around preserving his own life. Because, well, he gives this whole speech to Beautiful Woman about like,
I didn't come from nothing was given to me.
I'm not going to have my life cut short by a bunch of fucking teenagers or whatever. I mean, that's where he's at. And so, yeah, everything is just a mismatch.
It's a bait and switch too, Charlie.
Yeah.
They showed all the Spider Women doing things in the trailer
because
at least we'll get some of that.
It looks like a superhero film because you think you see superheroes,
wasn't.
Right?
Yeah.
Nobody puts on a costume in the here and now portion of the film except for the villain. You know, and he's got a rip off he's got like from Pro Cosplay Spider-Man suit. You know, it's just
we couldn't afford the logo. Sorry,
yeah, exactly.
But everybody else could. And it was
they just leaned really heavy into there's this her name is Parker and she's having a baby and then you see it born, but like it's like the end of the 2015 Fantastic Four. What should we call ourselves? What did you say? Fantastic? We're fantastic. There's four of us. So I think cut to black. Yeah, exactly.
Well, Emma Roberts, who is a good actress, once again, in this as well. Why did they cast her? Because she had nothing to work with and she didn't bring anything to the table with this.
Right.
She's a good actress, though. So it's like, I don't know what they're doing. Obviously, they're thinking sequel. She'll be in it. We'll see little Petey.
But that's just the thing. Even in what the summary you read, this was intended as a standalone film. But then, of course, Dakota's fantasizing about a sequel. And something that I read, and again, there's a lot of back and forth. You have, these beautiful young stars who are the basis of this film. A lot of them thought, or some of the press indicated, that they felt they were starring in an MCU film that was going to become part of that patchwork of a universe.
Who truly understands that anyways, Charlie? Because the whole thing is so convoluted. Spider-Man is in the MCU, but he's not owned by Disney.
Right, exactly. And
I've forgiven them for all that crap.
And Dakota Johnson has been quoted as saying, well, it got cut to pieces in the editing suite. Lots of script changes were made after I signed on, and that's why it's basically no good. That's
really?
That's
so what was it supposed to be like?
Right, you'll never know. You're not going to get these because remember, we have a film that was written by AI, Two Cats and a Squirrel. So you're not going to get the Two Cats and a Squirrel cut.
Yeah, I really struggled to find anything positive in this film. I really did. I felt like I needed this movie to end as soon as possible. I found there was nothing good about this film.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, and even the special effects were a little funky at times when the way the Aranyas moved and the trees seemed a little bit clunky and fake.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, I felt like the only reason the villain was stopped was through just general ineptitude. I mean, they didn't do anything to really stop him. He just kept getting hit by vehicles. I mean,
right.
And then a letter and a big S.
The big S. The big S is what took him out. So the big SS Spider-Man. Come on.
I mean,
Spumco.
I mean, and then everything coming together, and it was so cheesy.
Yeah.
And I will say, this is, out of all of the movies we've seen from this, whatever we call it, this was the worst, because I could at least find fun bits and goofiness and things that were just like, okay, I like that bit. The rest is horrible.
Right.
This, I didn't find anything redeeming at all. I thought Dakota Johnson didn't even want to be there.
Yeah.
And she just had most of these characters in this movie exuded zero charm
and charisma.
I don't know what it was,
and chemistry with each other. They could barely speak to each other. Stats, just off the top of my head, this is the lowest opening of this particular franchise. It's by far the lowest rated, both on Metacritic, on Rotten Tomatoes, and then just overall reviews. So we're in the low teens now, I think, with 160 something reviews. We're at about 13% on Rotten Tomatoes.
13. Yeah, you go up 13. I think it's 16 for Morbius, then you go up to like 30 for Venom, and then Venom 2 is like 58. So Venom's like doing the other thing. Eventually, the next Venom is going to be an Oscar nominated.
The next Venom will just be, it'll be $1 billion film. I mean, I've loathed all of these movies, and it's a downward trajectory by the time we get to Kraven, which is R-rated, and that comes out at the end of the summer, I think. Yeah. Just So Todd, let's wrap this up succinctly. Out of 1 out of 10 spider bites, what do you got?
I'm probably gonna go like a 2.
Yeah.
I mean, I could go lower, I guess, because at that point maybe I'm like, well, the movie ran and the projector didn't break, so I guess that's half it. And it was a film.
The fireworks didn't go off.
I didn't see a boom mic come down, so I guess it was a functional film. Yes. So I'll give it a 1.5.
I hear you. I'm gonna land at a flat 1, and I've never rated anything that low.
Does it hurt your heart so much because Madam Web? I mean, do we give it the Madam Web bump? Hey, folks, see this film?
I mean, maybe I'll give it enough of a bump, with Sydney Sweeney, because oh my god, and she is 25, by the way. So don't tell me I'm being creepy.
Just that they're in high school in this film. So
yes.
Keep it in context.
They're all very pretty women. They're all adults.
In this movie, she was probably one of the worst parts of it, though. She
really was. But I'm a quirky girl, but I'm gonna dance and and then
I took Taekwondo, and then I saved my swimming until late. I'm like, not the cocky one, not anybody else,
or the bad girl. But Sydney Sweeney's bump is like otherwise it would probably be a half. She gets a half a bump. So
Adam Scott, I also want to give it like charity, because Adam Scott, once again, the standout of this film.
He's great. He's fun.
I don't know why he gave so much effort.
You know what? Because he's a craftsman beyond. So, well, let's hope that this is truly a blip on the radar. And then we get to go back after this. We get to go back loving Madam Web because she is an employee of our network.
Correct.
And we got
to cheer her up.
Exactly. So, all right. Well, with that, Todd, that brings us to the end of our program. Friends, thank you as always for joining us. Todd, where do people find you out there?
They find me.
They found you.
Find me and yell at me.
Ezekiel found you.
Yes, at Toxtra on both Twitter and Threads, and at Secret Friends U on Twitter, and at Secret Friends Unite on Threads.
And, of course, on our fantastic Discord, the very best place on the internet to have fun geek conversations. You can find me over on Instagram and Threads at C3 Carpenter, spell it out. But I spend most of my time, and will be spending my time, sailing the Caribbean next week on the Star Trek cruise with my lovely wife, April, running the USS Grand Petoskey, which is one of the bigger chapters of the International Star Trek Fan Club in the world. I also have the great honor of running Region 13, which is all the chapters in Michigan and Eastern Canada. If you're a Trekker within the sound of my voice, want to meet Trekkers where you live, please visit sfi.org or the USS Grand Petoskey. Drop us a line and we can give you a hand with that. So, friends, once again, thank you for joining us and being with us through this journey of Madam Web. We appreciate it. I'm going to tell you as always that sharing is caring, and to keep on trucking.
Be the hero, not the villain.
In an EMS truck.
Oh my goodness, Madam Web. We're so sorry.
How low you've sunk, but we love you. Bye-bye.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow at Secret Friends U on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.